Hey, what's up, guys? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on the time that you're watching this video. My name is MC Kajambi, and I'm coming right away from Africa, Kenya. And today I just wanna talk about global matters, and I want to just talk about one woman who is becoming or have become popular, especially in the last 3 to 5 years or so. And this has been because of she's outspoken, she's articulate when it comes to matters and addressing issues of global concern. And this woman is no other than uh, Barbados PM, Mia Mottley. And in the reason she has been making speeches that have been moving the world, moving the hearts of people, and moving the minds of great giants or superpowers. And why is this? Yeah, now I've come to realize that a lot of these superpowers, a lot of people that are considered as superior, yeah, leaders, yeah, like let's say an example of let's say now the new American president, Donald Trump. Yeah, these are people now that are terrified about her because she will not eat her word, yeah, or swallow her words when it comes to addressing real issues. And she doesn't have the fear, she doesn't tremble or fear anything when she addresses the real issues that affect the people. And this could be one of the reason why superpowers and leaders in countries like the West, the East, China will fear and tremble at her speech because they never know. She is also, she's spontaneous. She may not know what she's going to speak or talk about, yeah, but the truth is she will not fear at addressing the real issues. Like now in the case of the Middle East, the slavery that is present, yeah, she will address it without any fear. Like other leaders, when other leaders are fear and shy of addressing the real issues that affect the human race, she will not fear. And I want us to look up at the one several of her speech that are really terrifying world leaders. Let's get into this, guys. And guys, if you have come across my channel for the first time, please consider to subscribe and do not skip the ad also. And hit the like and also comment. Let's engage on the comment section and let me know where you're watching this from.
Is still so debt stricken? Why is there still corruption? What is your response to that?
You really want me to answer you?
I do.
Okay. Why is it that every time we talk about countries from the South, the first allegation is corruption? Last time I checked, in the USA and the UK and Europe, they're riddled with corruption, but nobody says that they're not capable of achieving their objectives because of corruption. President of Namibia, the Deputy Secretary General, my dear sister, President of the General Assembly, President Yang, brothers and sisters, we are here on a Saturday afternoon from so many different corners of the earth because we know that our time here and our commitment matters more than ever. As we speak, war rages in the Middle East, in Africa, in Europe, and in the Americas. While there is no declared war, there is conflict that causes the loss of lives because of access to assault weapons and all of those other things that literally have undermined citizen security in our hemisphere. Yes, to the wettest, to the strongest storms, every possible thing that we could imagine that can disrupt our way of life, from the environment and the range of biodiversity that is so essential to the balance of our earth, has already been affecting us. And we are here generations after countries declared independence with the intention of being able to deliver for their people the best life possible, but constrained, of course, by the absence of access to development opportunities, and most importantly of all, to the fuel, to the oxygen, to the financing that matches the needs of their people. I do not tire in saying that we cannot build schools and hospitals with 10 and 15-year money. And we're here because even though noises were made every decade for the last few decades that things ought to change, they continued in the same direction. Fueled by greed, fueled by inequity, fueled by marginalization, fueled by values reflected by human beings taking decisions, or as His Holiness would say to us, from literally the desensitization that comes that allows us to take comfort in ignoring what we see and what we hear. I take comfort this evening from the fact that we are here. But we being here will only be a record or a footnote in history if our actions just end here. Yes, the conclusion of the Pact for the Future is the seminal treaty and theoretical point from which we want to take our action. But the truth is that that may become just simply another document in history if all that we have come to do is to secure a pact. We have now to ensure that we enlarge the people, the army, the believers, the doers, who are prepared to say that in the same way history can record successfully that slavery was wrong and needed to be abolished, in the same way that we can have history record successfully that women should have the right of agency over their vote and their body, in the same way that history can record successfully that the people who live in separate and apart systems in South Africa, or regrettably now as we see in the Middle East, that they should be freed from the bondages that allow others to determine what their destiny should be and to be able to secure it for themselves and the least capable among them. If you lived at those points in history, you might well have said that the battle was impossible. But we know enough to know, as President Mandela told us, it is not impossible if it can be done, or it is impossible until it is done. This world can change, but it needs our energy, our commitment, and in the same way in electoral matters we go out and find. The pandemic has taught us that national solutions to global problems do not work. We come to Glasgow with global ambition to save our people and to save our planet, but we now find three gaps. On mitigation, climate pledges or NDCs. Without more, we will leave the world on a pathway to 2.7 degrees, and with more, we are still likely to get to 2 degrees. These commitments made by some are based on technologies yet to be developed, and this is at best reckless and at worst dangerous. On finance, we are $20 billion short of the $100 billion. And this commitment, even then, might only be met in 2023. On adaptation finance remains only at 25%, not the 50-50 split that was promised nor needed given the warming that is already taking place on this earth. Climate finance to frontline small island developing states declined by 25% in 2019. Failure to provide the critical finance and that of loss and damage is measured, my friends, in lives and livelihoods in our communities. This is immoral and it is unjust. If Glasgow is to deliver on the promises of Paris, it must close these three gaps. So I ask to you, what must we say to our people living on the front line in the Caribbean, in Africa, in Latin America, in the Pacific, when both ambition and regrettably some of the needed faces at Glasgow are not present? What excuse should we give for the failure? In the words of that Caribbean icon, Eddie Grant, will they mourn us on the front line? When will we, as world leaders across the world, address the pressing issues that are truly causing our people angst and worry, whether it is climate or whether it is vaccines? Simply put, when will leaders lead?
Her Excellency Mia Mottley, Minister for National Security, and the Pope
to be offering because it has it to offer. The reset for which I am calling, and indeed all of our citizens are demanding, must see an end to all forms of discrimination. That rules and institutions today exist which create first and second class citizens, as we have said from this podium year after year, depending on your nation of origin, militate against the trust and the credibility and the hope, and it fosters a crisis of confidence in the existing international order, which must become inclusive and responsive for all. More than any other complaint from this podium has been the disparity in treatment and the inability to be able to have fair and transparent treatment for all that would lead to the trust necessary for us to solve the problems of our times that are truly beyond man's position. And forgive me, I like to see people's eyes. Former leader of the opposition, my good friend Peter Phillips, members of the executive of the Michael Manley Foundation, members of those entities related wholly or otherwise to man, and his utter and absolute charm and ability to make even me as a young teenager feel that there was purpose in all that we were doing, but that equally that there was a larger mission which embraced us all as Caribbean people. I would later spend many hours next to him at Brandon's tennis when he would come to Barbados, and I would usually be the one there next to them watching tennis at Paradise on that occasion. I am honored because when people the establishment of a national minimum wage, something that eluded many, many countries for many, many decades before you established it here. Maternity leave with pay, which we actually did slightly before you, but Michael Manley made sure that you did it. Gender equity and pay scales. Other laws, as we heard tonight, that outlawed bastardy, as we did too, around the same time. A law that established your National Housing Trust, I'm told, that transformed the fate of so many of your citizens. But it is not simply in the announcement and the passage and the recitation of these policies that it matters. It is also in the essence of the man, believing that fundamental to the building of a society is the dignity to be accorded to each and every citizen, to see, hear, and feel each and every citizen. And we take this sometimes for granted, because the world in which we live doesn't even admit of it. Countries that are large sometimes don't see or feel small countries. The reality is that it is a rare, rare virtue. And for the last 6 years, I started to reflect on how much the world looked like 100 years ago. And that in truth and in fact, we are
Still so debt stricken? Why is there still corruption? What is your response to that?
You really want me to answer you?
I do.
Okay. Why is it that every time we talk about countries from the South, the first allegation is corruption? Last time I checked, in the USA and the UK and Europe, they're riddled with corruption, but nobody says that they're not capable of achieving their objectives because of corruption. Why is it that we're not talking about the fact that these countries became independent, having allowed those countries that colonized them to extract significant portions of their wealth, such that we had no proper housing, no proper education, no proper healthcare systems, no proper legal systems, no proper across the whole stream, and certainly nothing to do with building social capital like community development and cultural enterprises. And what has happened is therefore that we have spent the time since independence trying to give our people what the global north has taken for granted and has supported by the extrication of centuries of wealth to give their people out of our blood, sweat, and tears. Now, when our blood, sweat, and tears finances the Industrial Revolution, and the Industrial Revolution then causes the climate crisis, and then I have to pay for the consequences of the climate crisis because of the Industrial Revolution financed by our blood, sweat, and tears, then I think they have no moral authority to tell me anything about the financing of the climate or about why we don't have enough.
Is it anger over this that fuels your energy?
Anger? Absolutely not. Unfairness, lack of justice. They're not angry. I'm just disappointed that humankind still wants to believe that there's one world for set of people and another.
Guys, you hear those speech, and I don't know what comes into your mind, or what do you think when you hear about her? Or guys, in my case, when I listen to her speech, what comes into my mind is the things that great people like Marcus Garvey used to fight for or used to speak about, and people like Nelson Mandela. You know, what I believe is that I feel like I strongly feel like this the soul of these great people, the soul of Marcus Garvey, the soul of Martin Luther King Jr., and also Martin Luther King and Mandela, their soul live in this woman. That is why she is not afraid to talk about anything, and she is selfless, you know. And even when she comes to address issues in let's say in a global meeting, in the in UN national meetings, she is not there just to talk about Barbados, but even also Africans, yeah. And that is what really is making us to connect so much, especially as Africans, to connect so much with her, that she will come out there and address issues like now the oppressions that will be experienced in the Middle East among Africans, among women, yeah. She will not be shy. You know, there are other countries, like let's say there are other leaders that are so hypocritical, just because they do not want to lose the revenue that comes from the oil and gas in the Middle East, so they will bury their head in the sand and not talk about those serious issues. But Mia Mottley is not worried about that. She doesn't care about what she's gonna lose, but what she gains, or what the people or what the world gains when she address the real issues, guys. So let me know, what do you think about Mia Mottley? Is she the most influential woman or leader in this century? Let me know on the comment section. And guys, once again, don't forget to like this video, also share with your friends, and let them be inspired. And this should be the spirit that we should all be cultivating. And guys, thank you for always coming to watch my videos, and God bless you.